distant one. Amanda Walker, Sky News, Moscow.
Well, there are unconfirmed reports this morning, as we've been saying, that an Italian magazine is planning to publish more photographs of the Duchess of Cambridge, and it comes after the French magazine Closer displayed the images on their front cover. Let's talk to the French journalist Nabila Ramdani. It's here in the studio. Good to see you, as always. This is causing a huge amount of controversy here in the UK. What are the impacts of all of this in France, where privacy laws actually are meant to be pretty tight?
Yes, indeed, and France is notoriously strict about its privacy laws. But the reality is that they're also very rarely enforced, or the punishments are not so serious. And instead, convictions are very much seen as a badge of honor within an industry of celebrity magazines, which is actually burgeoning in France. And that will be at the heart of the legal case, which is actually going to go to court on Monday. But it has to be said that there's an awful lot of sympathy for Kate in France, and it's not seen as a very serious story. I mean, it's interesting because the British, have an awful lot of reverence, and there's a sense of deference as well towards a member of the royal family, whereas in France we see the royals as celebrities, really. They're part of a showbiz world. And of course, France is a republic, so although Princess Diana was very much loved in France and the Queen is very popular, the French, do not see this young couple, lovely couple, as part of the establishment, but more as stars, really.
But it raises real questions, doesn't it? Because even if you did have the view of the royal family as being celebrity rather than part of the establishment, and perhaps we can understand why that difference exists in a foreign land, and yet the idea that these were long lens shots, this wasn't the royal couple courting the media in any way at all. I mean, trying to do the exact opposite.
Well, absolutely, and there is a clear breach of their privacy, and that's what a court will establish in France. I mean, there's no doubt that the royal family will win their case, and there's almost a diplomatic imperative behind it all. And we can also expect the magazine not to be fined very heavily. The maximum sentence is usually 1 year in prison for the editor, and up to 45,000 euros for the magazine as a fine.
Which isn't a lot for any sort of magazine to deal with. I mean, isn't there a sense, though, perhaps in France, that they do want to firm things up a little bit? Because this has been so controversial, as you say, there are diplomatic implications to this as well. Isn't there a sense that the French courts may look at this more severely?
I think perhaps the fine will be higher because there's an international dimension to it as well. But frankly, the view in France is that this is really a knockabout story, a very light story about a young couple. And there's also a sense that the royal family is really attempted to control the foreign media, and that's pretty distasteful, because what is at stake here is future heads of state, effectively, trying to control their image on their own terms.
But is it a case of controlling their image when there has been a clear invasion of privacy? I mean, they're not trying to control images which were sort of taken in the public arena in any way.
Well, absolutely, and I think there are two dimensions to this story. There is no doubt that there's a breach of Kate's privacy in this instance, but there's also the argument that if Kate is going to become the future Queen of England, then surely she should learn to, how to conduct herself at all times under any circumstances, and this is really a common sense.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Nabila, always good to get your views. Thanks very much indeed. Lots of sport heading your way in just a moment. Morning, Selina.
Good morning, Stephen. Yes, we'll look ahead to this afternoon's charged encounters in the Premier League. We'll also bring you the best of the action from last night's South London derby in the Champions League.